There is a lot going on with ICE. There is a lot going on with immigration. One of the people that I know speaks so clearly and has the information we need on these topics is Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. She represents Lincoln-Goldfinch Law. She's an immigration attorney out of Austin, Texas, and she joins us now to talk about what is going on and what it means. Kate, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Joan. Thanks for having me on again.
Okay, you know I'm famous for my very basic questions. How, it's like Joan 101. How is it we hear about these stories where somebody is snatched when they come out of a building or when they try to go home or when they're crossing the street and their families can't find them? The families make calls, nobody knows where they are, and by the time they figure out where their kid has been taken, there was that instance in New York that Rachel Maddow talked about this young Asian woman whose mother is an Episcopal pastor, and she was studying to be a pharmacist, and she was literally grabbed off the streets, and her family couldn't find out where she was. And when they finally found out where she was taken, she wasn't there anymore because she'd been taken somewhere else. And I think she was moved far away, and she was moved 2 or 3 times. Kate, how is this legal?
That is a whole question. I don't think that it is legal. You know, there are challenges. We are starting to see more and more challenges, but this is how ICE under Trump does detention. You know, they're grabbing people off the streets. They say they do targeted arrests, but of course they make mistakes all the time, and they seem to be arresting indiscriminately. And then once someone is picked up, there's no, immediate function where you track a person. There is something called the ICE detainee locator that people can look up online. And if you have the person's alien number, it's a 9-digit number, it's easier to find them once they're logged in the system, which can take up to 72 hours. But if you don't have that number, which most people don't know that number before they get detained, you are searching using biographic information, the name, date of birth, country of origin. And if the agent has entered one letter differently, that person's not going to come out in the system. So there's major issues with the system. There's lags. And then also ICE just tends to transfer people around to different detention centers all around the country. And sometimes it seems retaliatory. Sometimes it seems like it's meant to get people away from legal support that they might have. Sometimes it might just be because of a facility is full, or they're now only holding men here and not women. I mean, policies like that are shifting, but people are getting picked up off the streets, lost for days, and then moved around the country away from their family and their attorneys, and that is happening by the thousands on the daily.
I saw some footage. Let's go to the other end of the country because that was in New York. I saw some footage from Burbank, California. Somebody was standing across the parking lot, clearly recording this with their phone. ICE agents showed up at a restaurant, took I don't know how many of the workers there into custody, and apparently did not want any kind of record. They never saw the person who was filming it because they came outside and they destroyed all of the security cameras that were around the restaurant. They took their guns and used the guns to reach up high to knock them off the building until they were broken. Now come on, that can't be illegal.
Oh, it's so creepy. I mean, and we saw one of the raids that happened in California. They had U.S. citizens who were working in this farm, and they wouldn't release those people until they deleted the footage of the arrest and the raid off their phone. What ICE will tell us is that they have to do this because they get doxxed, and that's why they wear plain clothes, and that's why they cover their faces, et cetera. But, of course, the response to that is don't behave this way, don't violate people's rights, and you're not going to have people needing to record you or talking about it online. I mean, it's a very obvious response. But I will say, it is entirely legal for any person to record law enforcement doing an arrest in any jurisdiction. And so I think one of the things, when we think about as this is going on, what kind of citizens are we going to be, being good witnesses is important. And so, pulling out your phone, or if you're not comfortable, pulling out your phone, taking down notes, who are the agents, what uniforms are they wearing, what cars are they driving, what are their license plates, making sure all of that data is captured is a really good way to become a witness to these events, because there are a lot of human rights abuses going on. And in the moment, you're not going to talk an officer out of committing a human rights abuse, but you may be able to bring a lawsuit or a complaint after the fact. And the people who are getting arrested need the support of the people around them in having evidence of what happened to them.
It seems like part of the problem with trying to stop these raids is, nobody knows ahead of time. Well, I suppose somebody knows, but they're not really posting it on social media, where ICE raids are going to take place, and they kind of seem to try to get in and grab people and get out again. I saw footage, again, since we're traveling around the country, I'm pretty sure this was from Texas, and it might have even been from your city, Austin, where somebody was way across the street, and apparently ICE vehicles were spotted in a convoy. They were going somewhere. I don't know if they had arrived there. And fire trucks showed up and basically chased the ICE vehicles away. And you can see the fire trucks and their lights and their horns, and everybody who's watching it is cheering them on. And these other vehicles just like speed out of the frame. Is that what we need to do, Kate?
Well, I haven't heard about that. I think that sounds great. This morning, Los Angeles School District, they did a huge press conference, and they're creating these sort of like roving patrols of LAUSD employees who are going around, and they're keeping ICE out, and they're notifying ICE or people where ICE is showing up, and they're willing to go pick up kids on specific bus routes to keep them out. This is what the reality is in 2025 is that these jurisdictions that care about protecting people and protecting children and safety in schools and all of that is that the localities are having to step up. But unfortunately, one of the things is that draws the ire, of course, of the Trump administration. And anytime any city or county starts behaving in a protective manner, that draws more attention from ICE, and they almost come and do more in that area in retaliation, like we've seen in Los Angeles. So it's really a balancing factor of how can cities and counties and school districts protect their people while also not angering ICE so much that they go and punish them for it. And it's just really, we have such a bully situation going on within DHS and ICE and the way that they're behaving. And it's a really tough needle to thread, I think, for local leaders to figure out how they're going to do this protection without drawing too much negative attention.
In your immigration practice, how is your practice different now than, say, it was 15 years ago?
It's entirely different. 15 years ago, we were about to have the DACA program. We were getting things for dreamers, maybe for the parents of dreamers. People felt safe. There were issues. It wasn't like utopia. I think Obama was president 15 years ago, and there were a lot of deportations, and we had some family detention, but it was an entirely different universe. The discourse was respectful. You think about the way that George Bush and Ronald Reagan talked about immigrants. It's just so completely different. And now, Kristi Noem and Trump, they come on, they call people dirtbags. Just the language that they use is so different. And in terms of as an immigration lawyer, our practice, of course, has gone from an affirmative practice where we're filing for green cards and getting people things to a defensive practice where we're having to do detained cases and, dealing with separated families and helping freaked out people think about whether they're going to travel, even if they have a green card. It's just completely knocked us back back on our heels. And frankly, a lot of immigrants are so tired of living under siege that they are considering self-deportation. And we're going to start to feel it in our sectors, in construction and hospitality and medicine and all of that. The wave of the absence of immigrants is going to start, and it's going to be very, very painful for all of us. And it's really heartbreaking and unfortunate. And I hope that the Trump administration wakes up and realizes that public opinion is not with them on this issue, and they need to change course.
I want to talk to you more about what our lives are going to look like if indeed, with their mass deportations and the self-deportations, we drain the immigrant pool that's always been such a big part of our country. We need to take a break. I'm talking to Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. She's with Lincoln-Goldfinch Law. She's an immigration attorney based in Austin, Texas.